Hi everyone, my name is Emily Mittenthal. Welcome to my project, Cities That Sustain, Reimagining Resilience in Seattle Through Food Forests. So for my background, when conducting my research, I was analyzing our current urban food systems and identifying the environmental, political, and social issues that have resulted from the dependence on large-scale industrial agriculture. So instead of trying to find separate solutions to each of these issues, I wanted to dive into their common root and extract solutions from there. So, that common root was colonization and unsustainable urbanization, disrupting the reciprocal relationships between people and the ecosystems that sustain them. This has resulted in the multitude of environmental, social, and political issues, such as the urban heat island effect, declining mental health, decreased water and air quality, lack of green space, food insecurity, and more. From there, I identified food forests, an indigenous food system that is defined as a biodiverse, multi-layered system of edible plants that imitates a natural forest system as a tool to close this gap. When looking at Seattle, it contains underutilized spaces and policy frameworks that can support food forest integration. Therefore, this project looked at the question of how can Seattle integrate food forests throughout the city? For my internship, I interned at the Beacon Food Forest, working with our education team to design their young people's garden space and help lead community work parties in order to engage community members in the design process. The picture to the right shows an activity I created for a work party where we were brainstorming what goals and values we wanted the garden space to accomplish and represent. We also brainstormed our dream gardens, and there was a 2D model of the space that people could play around with. Independently, I dove into my research question through a literature review, policy analysis, and professional interviews with food forest founders across the nation, city officials, and local food system leaders. For my results, they showed that Seattle has the necessary pieces to integrate food forests throughout the city, and I'll be going through this as well as some planning recommendations. The first piece is land, which many assume to be scarce in an urban environment, but I found that utilizing excess right-of-way and parks and recreation land provides an opportunity that works around land scarcity and does not compete with the city's need for housing, as there is an excess of it, as well as many parks land is already allocated as green spaces. One example of this already happening in Seattle is Yes Farm, as seen in the photo. They are a black-led farm on right-of-way land near Yesler Terrace. My policy analysis revealed that both the Forest Management Plan and the 2024 Food Action Plan provide opportunities and support food forest expansion. The Forest Management Plan emphasizes that Seattle's forests are facing death due to old age, and when settlers were establishing Seattle, they deforested the land, then replanted with majority deciduous trees such as big leaf maple and alder trees that have shorter lifespans than the native conifers. The city writes that they aim to proactively replant these dying trees, opening up an opportunity for edible and multi-use reforestation. Similarly, the Food Action Plan outlines a roadmap for an equitable, sustainable, and resilient local food system. Actions that fall into the categories of community food security, land use, and environment and climate can all be pushed forward with the help of food forests. The final piece is connecting and utilizing existing stewardship and funding networks. Agricultural leaders across the city express their limited capacity to connect, learn, and interact with other initiatives. This lack of connection and collaboration is detrimental to progress. And due to this, I identified and spoke with organizations and funds that already exist in Seattle that can assist in coalition building and food forest expansion. So moving on to significance, for Seattle specifically, this research is extremely important because the greater Seattle area accounts for 50% of the state's population. Given that a significant number of people reside in these urban areas, 80% nationally, addressing this imbalance is crucial for both ecological health and social resilience. I have found that as we integrate these indigenous practices, such as food forests, we can begin to decenter Western ideas of superiority and demand a restoration of relationships with the ecosystem. This will in turn build political awareness, energize collective action and solidarity to face the crises that the attempted erasure of indigenous communities have created. As this is also emphasized from the quote to the right of the picture of lived experiences of founder of the Boston Food Forest Coalition when he has begun to integrate these throughout the city of Boston. Looking forward to achieving this integration, specific sites must be identified, driven by community need and desire. Organizations need to begin working collaboratively to achieve this goal and continue learning from and uplifting Indigenous knowledge about food forestry. And after this, more research needs to be done focusing on the tensions between immigration policy and unhoused populations and urban agricultural projects. So for my acknowledgements, I would like to thank my site supervisor, Rebecca Bonilla-Myers, and the education team at the Beacon Food Forest, Tony Dickey and Eleanor Goodall, for all of their support and help. Thank you to my faculty advisor, Julie Johnson, for being a wonderful mentor. And thank you to all my interviewees, family, and friends. This project could not have been done without everyone. So thank you very much.